Good morning, everyone. This is Tony, Tainted Lord 87, and I finally have an awesome collection update. This is going to be a pretty big one by my standards, but yeah, I picked up some really great albums. But this one is going to be from metal to some non-metal stuff. So get ready. It's going to be really diverse. So yeah, let's just go straight to it. The first CD I'm going to show off is All That Remains, Overcome. Now, All That Remains are a metalcore band that had like a lot of melodic death metal influences, but lately they've kind of softened up the sound, and I don't really like the later stuff they've done. But I feel like Overcome by All That Remains is the last All That Remains album that I felt like they had that melodic death metal influence. You know, it's a really good album, very riff driven, has some amazing vocals, some awesome guitar work as well. So yeah, I feel like All That Remains Overcome is the last truly great album from them. And after this, I just don't really care about what the later albums are like. But yeah, I'm really glad to pick up All That Remains Overcome. Just an amazing metalcore melodic death metal album um, fusion, I guess. So yeah, really glad to pick up All That Remains Overcome. Really great album in my opinion. Next up is another melodic death metal album, but this one is a classic from the 90s, and it's At the Gates, Slaughter of the Soul. I don't think this album needs any introduction. This is just a classic melodic death metal album from 1995. And I think people already talked about this so many times, so I don't need to go into detail about this album. Except this one is a 2006 re release and features 6 bonus tracks and a bonus DVD. And the bonus DVD is like a making of, and and it was filmed back in May 2006. And it also features bonus features like deleted scenes and the Blinded by Feel music video and other interesting stuff. So that's pretty cool. That's really cool. But yeah, just a classic melodic death metal album from 1995, and At the Gates Slaughter of the Soul is just a classic. And I'm really glad to have this one. So that's that. Next up is another classic, except this one is from a thrash metal band, and that's Testaments, The Ritual. Yeah, Testaments, The Ritual is a bit different compared to their previous albums. I feel like this one is a more lighter, more a bit mainstream sound compared to their previous thrash albums before this one. This one has more of a heavy metal influence with some thrash here and there, and just has a more lighter tone in my opinion. But regardless, it's still a really good album. Still has some really great songs, and I think everybody knows the single "Electric Crown," which is a really good song. You know, but overall, this is just a bit of a mediocre album, if I dare say, but it's still a great album. If you like a mix of heavy metal and thrash metal with a more mediocre sound, I think Testament's The Ritual is just a great album. So I'm really glad to have this one. Okay, next up is a band I've always known about, I always enjoyed them, but to honestly tell you, the only album I actually enjoy from this band is White Pony, because that album has um the classic song Change in the House of Flies. And it's just not a band that I follow that much, but I decided to pick up the follow up to White Pony. And of course I'm talking about Deftones and their self-titled album. And it's a really good alternative metal album with some trip hop influences on it. And I've seen some people say that this is not the best album, and they might be right, but to me, from a casual Deftones fan, I think this is a really good alternative metal album. And Chino's vocals sounds really insane on here, in my opinion. But yeah, like just the first song Hexagram is just one insane song to start off the album. And the rest is just some really good alternative metal. But yeah, I'm really glad to pick up Deftones' self-titled album. I think it's a really good album and a good follow-up to White Pony in my opinion. I really don't see why people or most Deftones fans look down upon this album. I think this is really good. So yeah, I'm really glad to pick up Deftones' self-titled album. Next up is a Canadian hard rock and roll trio that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, and definitely a band that should be more well known, and that's Danko Jones and the album We Sweat Blood. Yeah, like I said, they're like a Canadian hard rock and roll trio, but they have some really rocking songs that really reminds me of bands like Motley Crue, Whitesnake, and you can totally tell they have like a bit of an 80s glam rock, glam metal influence, but it's strictly more of a hard rock and roll album. And We Sweat Blood is just a bang of an album. And I think Danko Jones is a band that needs to be more recognized, in my opinion. But yeah, this is just a really great album, and We Sweat Blood would will definitely please anyone who's into hard rock and roll, and maybe even a bit of glam metal. So yeah, I'm really glad to pick up not Deftone, Danko Jones. Really glad to pick up Danko Jones' We Sweat Blood. A really terrific album, in my opinion. Okay, next up is another Canadian band that is truly underrated, in my opinion, and that's I Mother Earth and the album Dig. Yeah, I Mother Earth are like an alternative rock band, but on here they have a bit of a metal influences. Like the guitar playing is very almost heavy metal like, and they really mix that with the more alternative rock sound. And this album does have its softer ballad moments, but this is just a really great album from I Mother Earth. And I think Dig should be more recognized for being a really good alternative rock album from the 90s. Yeah, this came out back in like 93, 94, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about this or the band I Mother Earth. Just a really underrated, underappreciated classic from the 90s. And if you're into like alternative rock, I think I Mother Earth will definitely suit anyone into that genre. And I think Dig is just an underrated classic from the 90s. So I'm really glad to pick this one up. So yeah, this is I Mother Earth, Dig. Great album. Okay, the next band might be a bit cringy, but I feel like this is the only album that I need from this band. And that's Nickelback and the album Silver Side Up. I don't think I need to go into detail who Nickelback are. They're like just a mainstream rock band that everybody knows. But I feel like Silver Side Up is the only album from them that I really do appreciate and I really do enjoy. Like songs like Never Again, How You Remind Me, Too Bad, Hollywood. Just overall, this is just a really great rock album from Nickelback. And while Nickelback gets scrutinized most of the time, I really do feel like this is the only album that really struck a chord with me. This is just a fantastic rock album from Nickelback, and probably the only one I need from them. So, yeah, the only Nickelback album that I really need in my collection. So, yeah, moving on, I guess. Okay, next up is um I guess electronic new wave synthwave kind of band, and that's Crosses in the EP Ponent Radiant. Now I've talked about Crosses before when I picked up the latest album, um God Bless, I Love You, Delete, or whatever that album that whatever that album title was. But yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoyed the latest Crosses release, and I decided to pick up this EP as well at my local record store. And like I said, it's like an electronic synthwave kind of music, but I have some rock influences as well. So yeah, this is just a really good EP, really enjoyable. And if you're into some, like I said, synthwave, darkwave, electronic music with some guitar-driven influences, I think Cross's Permanent Radiant is just a really good atmospheric EP from them. So yeah, really glad to pick this one up. Yeah. So yeah, this is Cross's Permanent Radiant. Okay, next up is from. Okay, the next album that I'm going to show off is some 90s techno. Yeah, 90s techno, will you believe that? And that's Dawood. And the album. Actually, what's this album called? Oh, Before the Storm by Dawood. Yep, it's some late 90s techno music. But however, I picked this album up because this one has some of my favorite techno songs from the 90s that I grew up with and just brings back so much nostalgia for me. Kind of reminds me of being a kid and just getting into music. And songs like Sandstorm, Feel the Beat, Out of Control. Just the whole thing is just a techno music classic from the 90s, in my opinion. And it's just something I need to have to remind me of my childhood. So, yeah, the Woods Before the Storm may not be for most metalheads, but for me, it's just a classic. It's just a classic, and like I said, reminds me of my childhood. And if you're into techno dance music, I really do think this is a good album. So, yeah, The Roots Before the Storm. Really glad to pick this one up. And the last album that I'm going to show off in this collection of days is going to be so cringy. But there was a time that I actually did enjoy this band and the music, and being like a 9-year old kid at the time who's just getting into music, I just have some fond memories with it. So it's Aqua and the debut album Aquarium. Yep, it's just some 90s bubblegum pop music. But I'll be lying to you. I'll be lying to you if I didn't say I didn't enjoy this one. Really do it really does remind me of my childhood and how I was getting to music. And some of these songs are just some bubblegum pop happy music that I just can't help but really enjoy, you know? Like songs like Barbie Girl that everybody knows, Oh Mine. Like the songs like Barbie Girl that everybody knows, My Oh My, Dr. Jones, Lollipop, Candyman, Roses Are Red. Just all these songs are classic bubblegum pop music that I grew up listening to back during the late 90s, early 2000s. And yeah, just like the Root album, it just brings back childhood memories for me. So yeah, I'm I'm proud to really pick this one up. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Aqua's Aquarium, really good bubblegum pop music from the late 90s. And that's everyone. That's my big collection update. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. Hopefully everyone didn't cringe too much. And hopefully to see everyone in my next video. Whenever that will be. Okay, goodbye and take care.